Good afternoon and welcome to all the occupiers of White City Place. It's really nice to connect with you this way, and I hope you'll enjoy our little meditation session. I tend to discuss a couple of things before we start each week, just because these things crop up and meditation is an ongoing science, really. And the further we go along this road, we get more discoveries, and it's really nice to share those as they come up. um, but yeah, first of all, I hope you're all keeping well and have managed to enjoy a little bit of the snow that we've had the last couple of days, and find the joy in that. Um, yeah, and really, I wanted to focus on health benefits today with our meditation, and we can try and bring in the ideas of these health benefits as well in the practice. And you'll know what I mean when we get to that point in the practice. But yeah, two ideas that I wanted to share with you, and they are um, when you find your sense of awe, um, which can be appreciating a great piece of art, it can be listening to a beautiful piece of music. Um, it could be staring right into a flower. It could be walking in nature. For me, it was I went to the highest point in Kent yesterday after all the snow, not realizing it was a walk that we had decided to do. And it just happened to be in the highest place in Kent, and therefore the snow was really thick, and it was just the most beautiful experience. And I was in a state of awe. I really was. If I could trip into Narnia, then that would be my ideal place. And that's kind of what happened yesterday. That's where we were. It was just absolutely beautiful. So that was a sense of awe. And I was lucky enough to hold on to that sense of awe for quite some time. Um, because I was, in Narnia, and I was walking on a sort of 3.5 hour walk. So yes, I held on to that sense of awe for quite a long time. The sense of awe might not last that long each time. It might just be a kind of moment about something. Might be something that passes you, or I don't know, a beautiful memory, or I don't know, something. But awe is different from other positive emotions. You know, you've got joy, you've got content, you've got peace, you've got happiness. Uh, and of course, there's an overlap because it's a good feeling. You kind of feel that good feeling in you. But awe is that sense of, it kind of takes your breath away. It's like, wow, but it can be really small. I don't want to make it sound a huge thing that's difficult to grasp, because it's not. It can happen in lots of little things. It could be um, an insight. It could be a really good idea suddenly. The great poets of old, or rock stars, or novelists, or musicians, or painters would have had lots of those aha moments to create, to do what they love. But they might be really small and really fleeting, and it really doesn't matter. But the reason I bring this up, and this is a science has backed it up as well, when you find your sense of awe out of all of the positive emotions, um, awe has the ability to lower your levels of IL-6, which is an inflammatory. And so when you lower the levels of any inflammatory, it really helps your immune system, which I think is kind of appropriate for right now, but is really good to know anyway, right? So it has a really good health benefit, as well as making you feel really good, a sense of awe. So it's a really good thing to think about. And the reason I mention it is because that leads on to the second part of what I wanted to talk about. And that is when you feel the sense of awe, um, your serotonin levels increase. So that's something from the outside, something that you've seen, something, or maybe a thought inside, but it's something that's happened that has made you feel the sense of awe, and therefore the serotonin kicks in. The good news is that you can bring in the same feeling of that joy without having to actually be there and experience it, just by not necessarily thinking about the event, but remembering the feeling. So when you have a sense of awe, I said earlier about the gasping. Well, what happens there physically? Your chest rises a little bit. You feel like you're kind of your chest expands. You feel lighter. You feel good, and you know what that feeling is like, right? You know what the feeling is like. You've been there. Everyone's been there at some point in their lives, so you know what the feeling is like. So if you do have trouble um, just getting the feeling without attaching it to something, then do think about something that caused that made you feel a sense of awe. Remember how it felt, almost go into that state and then bring it in. Now, the reason I mention this is because just by bringing in the feeling, remembering the feeling of awe, the sense of the word, so bringing the sense of the word into your body, it starts to build serotonin. And when serotonin builds, it actually prompts more serotonin on top of that. So it's a really beautiful accumulation of serotonin in your body. So it adds, it builds, it goes on and on and on, as long as you want to kind of keep that there. And so the reason I mentioned that too, which I think is extraordinary. I mean, people kind of, will go online and try and find, foods to eat that make them feel happier, or, the serotonin kicks in. Serotonin doesn't cross the blood-brain barrier. So it's not likely that you're going to get it from food. But you will get other things from food, like tryptophan, which can make you feel a little bit more relaxed. But I'm just focusing on serotonin today because that's the happy one, which is really nice, the joyful one, the awe, a sense of awe, and the fact that you can bring in serotonin levels, you can up them just by bringing in this feeling of awe, and then allowing the serotonin to build from there is such a lovely practice to bring into our meditation. So that's what I wanted to focus on today. And it was really just because I had this incredible, very fortunate, longer sense of awe yesterday, going through these snowy woods, and it just made me realize how alive I felt. And also, in that sense of awe you are bringing into your system, you are also bringing in the present moment. You are being very, very present. There's nothing else. When you're in that state, you are so focused on whatever it is that's bringing you that sense of awe that you are completely present. And when you're completely present, it's the one time when you're not ruminating on the past or worrying about the future. So it's a really good place to reside for as long as you can. And the good news is that even small doses of awe will really help increase your serotonin levels as well. It doesn't have to be this big, walking for 3 hours in the woods. It could just be little things throughout the day. And you can maybe even exaggerate the experience by knowing what you know now about the awe. When you see something that gives you a little bit of joy, you can maybe even look into that deeper and try and increase that sense, that feeling in your body. And there's so many things we can find awe about. And it might be just that you're reading an amazing book at the moment that you can't put down, that really kind of fills you, that makes you feel great. Or it could be, something that you're, I don't know, writing, or like I said earlier, a piece of music that you love listening to, or dancing like nobody is watching, that kind of thing. Um, or just a piece of art that you love, that you really, really love, and you might not have looked at it for a long time. Really looking at it and really kind of appreciating the artist's moves behind the picture. Yeah, there's lots and lots of little things that can make you feel like you're in that sense of awe. It's a feeling that's almost like as if it's something that's bigger than us. Usually, it feels like that feeling like it's so big. It's bigger than we are, and you just want to stay with it for a little while. Okay, so let's begin our meditation. So just before you close your eyes, actually, I'd like you to keep your eyes open, um, and just find a soft gaze just in front of you. It doesn't matter where it is. Just find a soft gaze, preferably not at the screen, actually. So if you've got the laptop in front of you, you can just move it to the side, because you don't need to look at me or anything like that. You can just kind of, as long as you can hear it, that's all good. So yeah, just allowing your eyes to rest on whatever, whether it's a desk or a sofa or a window or a chair, it doesn't matter what it is. Allow your eyes just to go really, really nice and soft. And as you're sitting here with a soft gaze, just noticing the breath coming in and out of your body. So you might notice whether you're breathing through your nose or through your mouth, or a bit of both. If you can breathe through your nose, that's preferable. If you can't, it's still good. So just seeing what is right for you. And get a really good sense with that low gaze, just get a really good sense of the air coming in through your nostrils or through the mouth, wherever it's coming in, and filling up the belly, and then letting it go. Now, when I say filling up the belly, I don't mean that you have to take a really big breath to sort of push out the belly. It can happen with a very, very subtle breath. So just allow the subtlety of your natural breathing. If it's relaxed enough, you'll probably feel the belly expand a little bit. It doesn't have to be much, just noticing that. So the air's coming in into the belly and out again. Just noticing that for a moment. Now gently close your eyes. And now get a deeper sense of the breath coming in and out. With the eyes closed, we've cut off one of the senses. So you might be a little bit more aware of the extent of the breath, a little bit more aware of the feeling around it. And then really focusing on that journey that the breath takes through the nose, down the throat, into the lungs, which then press very gently on the diaphragm, which extends the belly, and then out again. So just maybe even visualize this very subtle kind of air tunnel that comes in all the way to the belly and out. It might even have a bit of a shape to it, might have a bit of a curve, or it might just be a straight line, doesn't matter what it is. And also notice if you are forcing the breath, or if you are able to just let it go. Maybe you have already, maybe it's just really subtle and you're just noticing. And noticing how the rest of your body feels. Just a bit of a scan around your body. Noticing if the knees feel relaxed or if they feel knotted, the ankle bones, the hips. So, those three areas where we use a lot of motion, and the joints have a lot of work to do. So, just noticing if there's anywhere around those three places, the hips, the knees, and the ankles, that you can soften just a little bit, just letting go of the minutiae around that, the tiny muscles, tendons, ligaments, just imagining them softening a bit more. And I'm going to take a little breath exercise. So when we take an exercise with the breath, it's what we would call conscious breathing. When we don't do the exercises with the breath, that's just your natural breath. So you're going to notice the difference between the two. So right now, all this time, hopefully you've just been breathing naturally, not trying to breathe, just allowing breath to do its subconscious work. And in a moment, we're going to take this exercise, which will be counting in, breathing in for 6. We'll be holding it for 4, and we'll be breathing it out for 7 or 8. And don't worry, I will count you through. And we're going to do that 5 times. All right. So when I count to 3, just let go of all of your breath. Push all of your breath out. 1, 2, 3. Let it go. Draw your navel into your spine so you can really push out the last of that breath. And breathing in. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And hold. 2, 3, 4. And out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And in. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And hold. 2, 3, 4. And out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Take a natural breath here in and out. Breathing in. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And hold. 2, 3, 4. And out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And in. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And hold. 2, 3, 4. And out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And in. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And hold. 2, 3, 4. And out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let it go. Breathe normally. Notice the difference now when you let go of the conscious breathing, you let go of the count, this recovery breath, just noticing how it is more relaxed, easier. Now, if your hands are resting on your lap, you could just turn them so that the palms are facing up to the ceiling. Yeah. And then just want you to imagine, we're going to be breathing in together in a moment, but just want you to imagine that when you breathe in, your in breath is going to come in through the fingertips and it's going to travel up the middle, inside your arms, up to the elbows, right up the upper arms, the shoulders, inside the throat, and through the center of your head to the crown of your head. And then when you breathe out, I want you to imagine that the breath is coming all the way back down the outside of the head. So just skirting the skin on the outside, over the shoulders, down the arms, and over the top of the fingers as you breathe it out, as if water is washing over you. And just letting go of all the out, all the worries, all the concerns, everything in your life that you just don't need to hang on to, letting it go on that out breath. And every in breath will be a new energizing breath, bringing in the new and then letting go of the old. So, what I want you to try and do with this breath, I'll start you off the first couple, but what I want you to try and do is when you breathe into your fingertips, breathe in, if you can, for a count of 5 seconds. And you will find it a little bit tricky um, getting the rate, the speed uh, of the visualization of your breath at the same time as your breath. You might find that you've breathed in a full lung capacity and you've only got to your shoulders, for example. So it takes a little bit of practice to kind of pace out the breath so that when you come to the top of the breath, you'll be at the top of your head. And then when you breathe out, you'll have finished the breath just as the breath leaves the fingers. So it will take a little bit of practice. Before we start, I want you to take your awareness to the crown of your head. Imagine that somebody has been just gently tapping the top of your head. You get a really good sense of how that feels. If you are struggling with a sense of how the top of your head feels, like you can't sense where it is on your head, you could just take a little gentle tap just so you get an idea and go, oh, yeah, of course, that's where it is. That's how I can sense the top of my head, the crown of my head. All right, so I'll do the first 3 with you just to keep the pace of the 5 seconds, and then I'll let you go on from there. So just with your palms facing up. When I count to 3, again, push out all of your breath. So 1, 2, 3. Let all the breath go. Draw the navel into the spine, push out the last bit. All right, through the fingertips, breathing in, 2, 3, 4, 5, hopefully at the top of the head, and out over the top, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathing in, 2, 3, 4, 5, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5. And in, 2, 3, 4, 5, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5. Keep going in your own time, breathing in. So you're probably noticing the difficulty in trying to get the pace even. Just takes a little bit of practice, or it might feel quite zippy. You know, your arms are quite long. And when you're going up to your shoulders, into your neck, and then to your head, it can seem like quite a long way. So you might feel like you're breathing in, you're having to count a lot quicker to get to the top. That's fine, that'll smooth out. You can always slow the breath down a little bit if you want to. Just remembering to let everything just wash out over the top of your body, over the shoulders, down the arms, and flicked right through the fingers. Anything that's not serving you on that out breath. Or you don't need to even think about that. You can just go along with the ride and be playful about it. Don't take yourself too seriously. And also, if you want to pause at the top of the in breath at the crown of your head, you could always hold the breath for a couple of beats if you want to, and then let it go. In your own time, and when you're ready, don't rush. Always finish your own breath. But when you come to the next of your next exhale, to the end of that, I want you to take the thumb and forefinger together on your left hand. And then I want you just on your next inhale to breathe in through the right fingers all the way to the crown of the head, and then back down the right hand side. So it's almost like cutting your body in half, just going up and down one side, just practicing that. Notice how that feels in your body. Does it feel like your left side is a bit empty or just a bit numb? All the activities on the right, just noticing the difference of the two halves of your body. Or you might not feel any difference and it really doesn't matter. You're just noticing whatever comes up or whatever doesn't come up. You're being aware of that. When you come to the end of your next exhale, I want you to do the same thing on the other side. So take the thumb and first finger on the right hand together and open up the left. And then when you're ready, you'll be breathing in through the fingers of the left hand, internally up the arm, over the shoulder, up the neck, and through the center of the head, and coming out down the left side, just washing over the outside of the shoulders, the arm, all the way through to the fingertips. Noticing any sensations that might come up. There might be tingling in your hand, maybe, or maybe a bit of numbness, or nothing. Again, it doesn't matter. You might just be aware of the back of your hand resting on your thigh. And then after your last exhale on that left side, no hurry. Whenever you get there, just open up the fingers on the right hand again. So both hands are free again. And then just take a last couple through both hands and just notice the difference. How balanced that feels. So much easier when we're using both sides at the same time. Got the balance of both sides, our right and our left, working together. And notice also how much easier it is now to do it through both hands than it was at the very beginning. One more of these, in and out. And when you finish that one, just letting it all go, letting go of the counting. You can relax your arms. Do it if you want to keep them there. It's nice. You can do that. But just be comfortable and take your awareness to the back of your eyelids. And whatever color shows up there, notice it. And the game here, I say game because I like you to be playful with this. The game here is to try and keep hold of the color or the shape or maybe the moving shapes behind your eyelids. Try and keep hold of that. Try and keep your focus there. And if and when a thought comes in, just gently bring yourself back to the focus. Or you might be focusing on the color so much that when you get a thought comes in, it just kind of passes by behind the color. It's not a biggie. You just don't get attached to it. You're focusing on what's behind your eyelids right now. Every time a thought comes in, you just nudge yourself back gently to behind the eyelids. Now, here is where we're going to try and bring in that sense of awe. So, if you need to remember something to give you that feeling, then please do that now. Or if you can recall the sense of awe, imagine something has just happened to give you that feeling. Even without having to think about what it is, you can still bring in that feeling, just as we talked about at the beginning. This is what psychologists call unprovoked happiness. It's a real thing. So it doesn't even need to be happy. It doesn't need to be awe. It could just be joy. It could be um, contentedness. It could be calm. It could be love. Anything that springs to mind. Usually, the first word we think of or association we think of is the right one for you right now. So it might just be that you just brought in that feeling straight away. Now, whatever you can associate the feeling with, whatever word, then bring that word into your mind's eye. So you're keeping your focus behind the eyelids, but you're really imbuing the sense of the word. So if it's happy, It's remembering what it feels like to be really happy and allowing that to fill your body. If it's calm, you might just feel like you're really grounded. Everything is fine, everything is cool. If it's clarity, then you might just be really focusing on the back of the eyelids even more. Whatever it is, just bringing in the sense like you own it already. It's already there. And you might feel a bit daft doing it, but honestly, if you physically smile, it really helps as well to promote the serotonin in your body. If you think about every part of your body talks to all the other parts, your body works together to make things happen. So when the body feels that it's smiling, it prompts the mind to go, oh, yeah, we're in that happy place. This feels good. This is nice. So if you bring a smile into that place, it can really help strengthen this feeling of happiness, of joy, of clarity, of peace, of love. But keep that same focus behind your eyelids, but very slowly, mantra style, just repeating a word like it could just be awe if you want to. It could be awe, it could be joy or love, happy, clarity, peace, whatever it is that you choose, just slowly saying it. It doesn't have to be consecutive one after the other, but just say it every now and then, or it might be on every out breath that you choose to say it. And notice your body. So you might have been focusing a little bit more. So just notice that your body hasn't tensed up with that focus. Take your mind back to the body as well and really soften. You can also notice your breath. You might have held your breath a little bit, or the belly might not be soft anymore. Again, just checking in with that and then coming back to behind the eyelids, into that feeling, into that space, inhabiting the essence of that word, of that sense. If you feel the sense of awe physically in your body, it might have started in the chest area. That's quite often where we kind of feel a bit of an expanse. See if you can spread the sense a little bit deeper, maybe into the pelvis, maybe into the legs, maybe even down the arms. See if you can inhabit it in the whole body. And then you can just imagine the whole body as one big living cell, the mind and the body completely connected. This sense of awe doesn't live just in the mind or just in the body, it's all over. And whenever you need to, you just repeat the words silently to yourself to bring more of the essence of that word. And it might get to the point where it feels so big, it starts to radiate outside of your body as well, outside of that space. Know that you have created a feeling just by bringing it in. And this is where I'm going to just leave the session, only because I want you to stay with it as long as you are comfortable. I don't want to take you out of a nice place if you're in a nice place. I want you to allow it to take the time it wants, and you'll know when to leave. You'll feel that space start to diffuse a little bit. Maybe more thoughts will start to come in. You'll just know when the right time is. But that's why I like to leave it up to you, because it is unique. Only you know. It's not going to be the same as my time or anybody else's. So just harnessing that. You are unique. You are wonderful. So embrace that. Stay with it as long as it feeds you. And I'll be here next week. Thank you, everybody.